well, we decided with that book it had to be a huge book. We decided to leave Australia because the market here for what we do was too small. But when we went broke, we lost, as you know, not only everything, but my goal was to get to 45 and be worth zero. That is and we went to Europe because we had a map of the world and it could either be America or Europe. And America's like Australia. It takes all day to get somewhere and it's more of the same. Whereas Europe had nearly 1 billion people with the ex-communist countries that were now opening up. And you can get around quickly in a day. And so we decided to go there. We put a pin in the map, went there and decided to live in that town. We did with the real estate agent. And next thing you know, we're Times bestsellers worldwide. And then by 2004, we're the biggest authors in the world. It was a massive thing. We knew it was going to be big, but if you make a decision that you're going to be big at something or be excellent at something, you decide that's what you're going to do, full stop, and don't think about how. Just decide that. And that is quite scary to do that because you're having faith in something happening when you don't have any idea probably how to do it. But that's the way to achieve big things.
Yeah. Hi, it's journalist Caroline Stephen here. Last week we spoke to the very famous body language experts Allan and Barbara Pease on their new greeting for COVID-19 times called the Heart Hello. And today we continue our conversation with them on Talking Trading and we probe into their journey of how they built their worldwide success. We have spoken to Allan about this in previous Talking Trading episodes a few years ago, but we've never spoken to Barbara about it. And it was in fact their chemistry, their teamwork, and Barbara's drive which built their empire and catapulted them both into international stardom. You see, in 2004, Allan and Barbara were the biggest selling authors in the world. But just prior to that, they'd lost everything financially. And Allan's goal was to be at zero at the age of 45. They moved to England. They had no money, no contacts, and they built themselves up to become a worldwide phenomenon. How did they do it? What mindset did they have to create such success? Well, in this interview, we get to hear how you can create an Allan and Barbara Pease of success. One of the key principles that Allan and Barbara talk about is doing something you love. And in today's Mindpower with Louise Bedford, Louise talks about exactly the same thing. So let's hear Louise now, and then we will go back to our interview with Allan and Barbara Pease. I hope you enjoy.
Think of this statement: I'm exactly where I need to be, doing what I love doing. How often can you truly say that? Unless you can get to say this at least 50% of the time, you'll feel unfulfilled. And when you stop and think, really think, do you feel like you're destined for more? Do you know in your gut that you can do more, be more, and have more? Well, I want you to think today, if you are not exactly where you need to be doing what you love doing, what are you going to do about it? What are your action steps? What can you do to plan your escape? Almost every trader I know feels that they are doing exactly what their gut tells them they should be doing. If you're not, it's time to scaffold your way in to a better life, the trader's life. Are you on priority notification for our very next mentor program? You see, we're opening for bookings really soon, and for everybody registered on tradinggame.com.au/priority, everybody in that group is going to get a whole heap of free trading resources. The Trading Game Mentor Program is a 6-month repeat for free course. We want you to become a superb trader, and we're going to give you the education, the strategies and the tactics that you need. Register now on tradinggame.com.au/priority.
And now here is the next part of our interview with the very famous body language experts Allan and Barbara Pease. We start the interview by asking Barbara about her part in the 2004 phenomenon, Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read Maps. I just want to go back to that other period of reinvention in your life, because you've written about it in your books and I've spoken about it with Allan last time. And I wanted to get your point of view on it. I think about your part in this story a lot. Whenever I need a pick-me-up, I read the last couple of chapters of The Answer. Back in 1994, you were 34 and Allan was 45, and you were so broke. You were been in debt 3 years, I think, and you put a map of the world down and ended up in Henley and Arden.
In centre of England.
Centre of England. And Barb, it was you who pushed Allan to seminar speak, and it was you who were the driving force financially to get back on track. And I think about that all the time, how you'd ring the bookshops and you'd create the demand for the Peace book.
Oh, I know. Allan would, look, I was on the phone from early morning till late at night. Allan would come down and sit there because he was going through depression at that stage. And when one partner is in that situation, the other one always rises and becomes, you don't have time to feel sad. You are the driver. You have to keep moving forward. So, yeah, I would ring the shops. I was posting them myself to the bookshops. I'd go down to the post office with bags and bags of books because I believed in what we were doing and I believed in our book. No one else in England wanted our book, but I believed that I could use the media and just who I am to get it out there. And of course, that's what happened. The people were going to the bookstores and saying, oh, I've just seen this couple on the TV. Do you have this book? And then they'd have to find me. So for me, this was the way we were going to succeed. I never thought that we wouldn't succeed. It was really, really hard work.
You made the decision to do it. That's the thing.
A lot of times Allan would just shake his head and say, let's go back to Australia because you wouldn't even have to work this hard to get, the money coming in Australia. And I said, I think I need another year because people were saying, oh, there's a colonial on the phone. And I'd go, yeah, that's me. I'm an Australian.
Foreigners in English speaking. We're foreigners in England. We're foreigners. But yet the funny thing about it was that Barbara would organise for us to go on television programs and promote this book, which we had from Australia. There was none in the stores in English because nobody wanted it. It was a closed group. And we'd say, rush to your local bookshop and buy this. And so people would rush in and say, where's this book? And so then the bookshops would ring the distributors and say, well, where's this book? And Barbara was ringing the distributors saying, we've got this book. Yeah. So we actually created the demand when there wasn't a demand.
Yeah, did you use different voices each time you rang?
Yeah, of course.
Hard to describe those accents, though, isn't it?
And same with clients.
Clearly a woman again. She's so damn persistent.
With clients, I would just never take no for an answer. I'd ring up and say, oh, when's your conference this year? And they'd say in December. Oh, when would you be making a decision about your speakers? I'd love to send you some information about Allan Pease and blah, blah, blah. And I would send it. And then it may have taken me 5 years to get Allan on the program. And Allan always says to clients, oh, why did you book me? And
better to book you than have that woman keep ringing me.
I would say, Barbara she just rings exactly when she says. If she says she's going to ring me in July, on the 1st of July, there's, hi, how are you going? Have you made a decision about your speakers? Never got upset that I'd rung them, Yeah,
but Barb, you made the decision that I was going to be on that program.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when. And so Barb used what's called the camping out technique. You go into their business and set up a tent and just live there and just keep talking to them so they get used to having you around. And in the end, people were apologising to Barbara that they couldn't get me on a program that year for some reason.
Because I believe in Allan and I believed in our book.
But you made the decision to do it. That's the thing. You make the whatever the circumstances you face with, you make the decision. This is what we will do. Full stop. And someone tells you can't do it, well, just don't tell them anymore.
And I love cold calling. And people don't like cold calling. I love it. Talking to different people and I'm helping them think out, I actually help people plan their seminars because some of them say, oh, I haven't even thought of, your seminar or my seminar. Maybe I should look at the speakers now. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. I can send you some information. So
yeah, but the reason you love cold calling is because you've got when you have a clear goal at the end, you know what it is you want, where you're going to go. You are motivated by the vision of the end result. So when you've got to make a phone call to somebody you don't know, whatever happens on that call is not a big deal because you're motivated by the end result you're looking at. If you don't have a clear end result, you make a call to a stranger, you're motivated by what happens. And what happens with cold calls especially is going to be 90% of the time will not be productive.
And, some people are really rude. Like I've had people hang up on me, and I've got a great strategy for that. I just ring the number back and I go, "Hi, you wouldn't believe it. I dialed the wrong number and some really rude person just hung up on me." And they go, "Oh, really?
I wonder who that was."
Oh. And I go, "Yeah." I said, "I can't believe it, but now I've got you." So
Well, I
that's
turned out to
great.
be the best client. Some of
And
that.
that's what I say to people when people are angry or negative towards you or whatever they've done it to every single person that's cold called them. And every single person has gone, "Oh, don't ring that person again." Whereas I go, "I'm going to ring them in 6 months."
So
And I get in, I ring them,
camp out.
and then they just go, "She's not going away. I can't get rid of her.
Too
She's this
polite.
chirpy person on the every 6 months. She rings me. So I'm going to hire her husband or whatever."
It sounds like you two are problem solvers. You help the other person's job on the end of the line. See, you make it really easy.
Make it
But
easy
it
for people
is.
to say yes.
It
exactly.
is. It is so easy. I mean, I just love what I do, and I love helping people. And now Allan helps millions of people around the world with all the skills that he, teaches from the stage. So
Yeah,
we've got an amazing.
Well, yeah, but also you got to think that in England too, in a way, it was somewhat easier for us because we didn't know anybody. If we drove out our front door, we didn't know where we were. We hadn't been there before, and we planned to build a multi-million-dollar business in the UK, servicing Europe and Russia and all these other places. And the people who said how, we said we don't know, but that's what we're going to do. And if they insisted on how, we didn't tell them anymore. But because we didn't know anybody and had no leads, it in fact was a little easier because we didn't have any choice. Like, this is what we're going to do. There's no, like, if you've burnt your bridges behind you, you are only going forward. And so burning bridges can be a good strategy because if you've got if you set up escape exits for yourself, I mean, we humans will take them. But if there's no escape exits and you've got a sword in your hand and you have to go forward, that's what you do. There's less choices to have to make about it. So we just did it. We didn't know how, but how doesn't matter.
But it was the most exciting business that we built because we had nothing. We started with nothing, no money, no contacts, nothing, just the two of us, and it was.
Well, you probably read in the answer then, and Carolyn, the story about the real estate agent in Henley and Arden.
Yes.
Henley and Arden's a tiny little British town. There's 2 men and a dog live there, and there's those chemists, and there's a real estate agent, and there's a cafe, and we decided we're going to live there. That's because it's right in the middle of England, means you could drive anywhere in 2.5 hours. And it was close to the International Airport of Birmingham. And we just decided that's what we're going to do. And we went there and talked to this real estate agent and told him what we're going to do. He thought this was the funniest thing he'd ever heard in his life.
I said, "We've got no money."
With no money, nowhere to live. We put a pin on a map and it landed on your head, mate, and here we are. And we said, if you can't find us somewhere to live somehow at a good price, we'll come and live with you. Which is what ended up happening. After 2 weeks, he got to know us, felt sorry for us, became our friend, and he invited us to come live in his home for a couple of weeks till we got sorted. We lived with him for 3.5 years. But we decided that's what we're going to do. We're going to live in this town, full stop. We said at the age, if you can't find somewhere to live for the price, we've got no money, then we're living with you, mate. He thought that was hilarious, and we did for 3.5 years.
It was great. It was great.
See, that's almost crazy when you say it.
We worked out of his basement.
The only way, that's right. If your only way
dark
forward
and
is
dingy
forward,
English
that's where you go.
basement. It was cold and the water was terrible.
Yeah, but we had a desk, 2 chairs and a phone and the
That's
yellow
all I
pages. I
needed.
mean, how hot can it get? Every morning, 9 o'clock, Barb's on the phone with the A's, accountant, actuaries, assurance companies. So for the first 10 years that we lived in the UK, I only spoke at seminars for actuaries, accountants, B for banks, and C for computers, A, B, C, and the yellow pages.
And that's how you made your income whilst you wrote the book. Why Men
We were
Don't.
writing the book, yes, yeah.
And so
we decided with that book, it had to be a huge book. We decided to leave Australia because the market here for what we do was too small. When we went broke, we lost, as you know, not only everything, but my goal was to get to 45 and be worth zero. That is it's hard. And we went to Europe because we had a map of the world and it could either be America or Europe. And America's like Australia. It takes all day to get somewhere and it's more of the same. Whereas Europe had nearly 1 billion people with the ex-communist countries that were now opening up. And you can get around quickly in a day. And so we decided to go there. We put a pin in the map, went there and decided to live in that town. We did with the real estate agent. And next thing you know, we're Times bestsellers worldwide. And by 2004, we're the biggest authors in the world. It was a massive thing. We knew it was going to be big, but if you make a decision that you're going to be big at something or be excellent at something, you decide that's what you're going to do full stop, and don't think about how. Just decide that. And that is quite scary to do that, because you're having faith in something happening when you don't have any idea probably how to do it. But that's the way to achieve big things.
Yeah. And it's the same with IVF. If you read the IVF story, I mean, we had no chance of having joint children together.
Less than 1%.
And my job was to focus on creating the atmosphere for the embryos to take, and all the statistics that every single doctor wanted to tell me. That was Alan's job. They'd say, you'd realise with your age, you have got Buckley's chance of having children.
They call it geriatric.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
43 is geriatric.
I said, if you tell him all the statistics, he'll absorb them and he'll work it out. But with me, I'm just having a baby. And the doctors were saying to Alan, I think she might have to be committed, because, no one can make that decision. And
Can't
Alan
happen.
goes, you know what? She can.
And you know what happened when they said it can't happen? We got rid of them. Change doctors.
Yeah.
Don't support you and don't believe it can be done. You have to move those people out of your space and find people who believe there is a chance, because Barb was a geriatric mother at 43 and she had Brandon at 45 and Bella, a second one, at 47. And I'd been radiated 80 doses of radiation from prostate cancer. So they'd blown my sperm into the next century is what they said. However, that was right at the point where this DNA creation, the DNA transfer was happening, and they succeeded with animals, with pigs. So we become one of the first 40 to make the jump into humans. Now we've got 2 kids at school right now.
And the greatest gift for me with that whole exercise that I did for myself is that I help women all over the world who are being told the same, that they can't have children.
Popping babies everywhere.
And I talk them through it, because if you can create in your body and your mind and move forward, you've got a great chance of it happening. If you believe what doctors tell you, then you actually program your body that you're not going to have children.
If you believe it.
You know what? If we hadn't have achieved it, then we had a backup. And the backup was that we would adopt. Or get dogs or whatever. So, but for my
one of the doctors told us, just get a dog. Get a dog.
Thanks, mate.
So,
that's helpful.
So we fired that guy. We hired 19 doctors during that whole process and finished up with two terrific, healthy kids.
Yeah.
Against impossible odds. I mean, you can't, look, it is possible to do the impossible and the occasional miracle by making a decision, because, see, something's only impossible if somebody hasn't necessarily done it before. But whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is you want to do with your life, there's somebody or people in the world who are currently doing it successfully or have done it. You need to find those people and ask them to be your mentors, and they'll show you the do's and don'ts, and they get impressed by the fact that you've asked them. Don't talk to people who've never done it or don't believe it can be done. There goes most of your family members.
So I've got women all over the world wearing bibs, because I used to wear bibs around my neck to every doctor's appointment.
Supermarket shopping with bibs on. I go,
and the doctors would just go, what's that? Oh, this is the bib that my baby's going to wear.
It's called visualization.
And then I would have eggs, and I'd colour the eggs, boiled eggs, and I'd have the eggs all over my house. And with my eggs, they're going to be...
Well, the bottom line is we were going to have kids despite anybody and everything. And now the chances of us successfully doing it together, because we already had 4 adult kids, doing it a second time around with prostate cancer for me and radiation and Barb's geriatric age, the chances of it happening were less than 1%. They just said it can't happen. And get a dog was the best advice we can get. But we decided we're going to have kids despite anything. So then your brain starts to look for the how. And part of the how was, we can go to China and adopt Chinese babies there, because you can do that in half the time you can adopt them from some other country. But it was going to happen one way or the other. It worked out the best possible outcome for us. But if for any reason it didn't happen, and we'd probably have 2 Chinese girls running around here now, but still just as great.
And, it wasn't easy. There were so many tears, and process of IVF is just...
Oh, my God.
Ring you and tell you how many of your embryos are dying. And when I lost the first batch, it was...
8 daddies today.
I can't... you've got to change your process. 1, you didn't ask me if my husband was with me. 2, you just said that the scientists made a mistake and the babies are dead. So it's not even my issue. It's the science department. I want to speak to the scientists. What did you do? You know, and they're going, what? You want to speak to, oh, yes.
That was when the guy said, get a dog, which was really inappropriate.
So, you know, I'm not saying things are easy, but if you focus, if you say, this is what I'm going to achieve and not worry about it and move forward, the universe provides you with the answers.
That's right. Well, the RAS, which used to be called the universe once, but in our book, the answer, the RAS, the part of the brain that searches out of 4 million bits of information around you, you can only process 2,000. It searches for the 2,000 that match what you've decided to do. And that's why whatever car you drive, as soon as you buy that car, you see that car everywhere because the RAS has picked it out of everybody around you. And it works for everything. Whatever it is you decide to do, without thinking about the how, you just decide, I'm going to do that. Full stop. And that's scary, but that's what you do. Suddenly, you'll see the answers to it everywhere. You'll hear people talking about it.
Can I just go back to you two as a couple, because you're such a pin-up golden couple, and the title of Why Men Don't Listen to Women Can't Read Maps. The reason why, but the way that title came about, it's such a funny story. You're on a motorway and Barb, you were having an argument. You got out of the car and caught a taxi to the airport, giving him
funny at the time.
Because the feminists around the world say you can't say what you're saying. And I'm saying I can, because just because I can't read a map doesn't mean I'm less of a woman. I can't read a map. I don't care that I can't read a map. And now I drive a Tesla, and the Tesla tells me exactly where I go. It even moves me if I get off on the line. If I go over the line, it pulls me back. She's great. So, it was a very contentious point with us because I had no idea what to do with the map. We're in a foreign country.
Spinning it around, trying to get it done.
And Alan's going, you know, how far to go? And I'm like, this far. And he goes, what? I go, this far. You know, and then I'm going, actually, I don't even think we're here. Oh, maybe
it was in Italy. Yeah, it was in Italy.
Like,
it was 2 airports.
I don't know how to do this. So we're having this huge... And I just said,
you also said if you stop and ask directions, we wouldn't be lost out here.
Yeah, because he didn't want to ask directions.
Well,
and then I would ask directions, and this person would say, head north, head west. And I'm like,
3 Ks there.
Is there a McDonald's store near? Is it 5 streets down?
Should
Can you give me my terminology, not a male terminology? So it was like, I'll go in and ask, and then I'd come out and say, I don't know what he said. He was saying east, west, north, south. I said, you have to go in and ask him. And then he'd come in and he'd find his way. But yeah.
She got out of the car and catch the cab. And
I
had to follow the cab to the airport. And I could still see her face looking out the back window, waving at me, not using all 5 fingers. That was true. It was not all 5 fingers over.
But I mean, that book was, for us, was... a lot of it was the challenges in our relationships, and
which is everybody's.
And then it just turned out, as we were doing our research, people would go, "Oh, that's my life. That's my life." And I said, and then at seminars, I said to Alan, "Just start using some of the material that we're writing." And all of a sudden, people were coming at the back of the room saying, I do that. We're not embarrassed that you can't reverse park a car. I said, no, I don't care. I've got lots of men that will park for me. I don't care about that either.
Yeah, did you like the good cop, bad cop thing with the feminists?
Oh, look, I think it's sad that we have to do that. I think it's sad that we,
She's the good cop.
Yeah, that they want to attack Alan.
Yeah, but we made it work for us. We'd start putting out infuriating headlines, particularly in the UK, which is a very feminist place. We'd have a headline, women can't park to save their lives, do the public a favour, get them a bus pass. And then they'd invite us on television to defend it. No, I would be a target. I go with the target.
But most of the time they wanted just Alan. They'd say,
come on your own, Alan.
Just like Alan this time. And I go, oh, it's actually a joint book.
They'd take me and she'd give you the answers.
And then they'd say, well, look, we'll ask Alan questions and we'll ask you questions. And I'd sit there with Alan and say, I'm answering your questions. And he'd go, yeah. But then they'd go, so Alan, you don't think da-da-da. And I go, that's right. I can't do that. And you know what? I'm not ashamed of it. Why do you have to be ashamed? Why do women have to be good at everything? Why can't we just be fabulous at most things and we can't do other things? You know, why is it that society wants this?
Great taste in men.
And then, yeah, I do. And then, and so then they were stumped because they didn't have a man trying to answer that question.
But what it shows is even if there's negative things happening around you, if you make a decision to think about it, you can turn those around into making it a positive. So I got crucified by feminists all over Europe, Germany. They wanted to leave. And so they'd ask me some attacking question. I'd say, well, ask Barb. And Barb would give the answer, and they go, that's very interesting. Whereas if I gave the same answer, I would be hanging from the nearest tree.
Yeah, it was good.
So we turned it into a business, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to look at whatever's happening, whatever negative circumstances might be there, how can you use that to your advantage? And you can always do that. Just a matter of looking for it, not running with it.
So some of the quotes, here are just a couple of my favourites, some classics. Some men think monogamy is what furniture's made from. That's my favourite line. My boyfriend's favourite line is, you're a lousy lover, she said. How can you tell that in 2 minutes?
That's right, yeah.
Well, again, all the books that we write they're humorous and they're meant to make people laugh and learn at the same time because you retain more information.
Yeah, plus, if you're talking about delicate subjects, you've got to make people laugh.
But those lines, we would get comments in the German media saying, they said
thought they were serious.
This is not funny, and we were like, it's actually a joke. It's to get you to think about all of the things that we've written about.
Well, some of them we had to cut them out because they were westernised. Like we put in one, they all come in a box. So when it's in a box in the book, it's going to be an interesting scientific point or it's going to be a humorous point. And one of the ones we put in, we proved that German beer was full of female hormones. The way we did that, we took 30 men in good health under the age of 30. We got them to drink 12 large pots over a 3-hour period. And we discovered at the end of that they couldn't talk properly, they couldn't drive their car, they were falling over, and they wouldn't apologise when obviously wrong. Clearly, that's a humorous joke, right? And we balanced it off with a male joke in the next one. But the German scientists were bombarding, please give us the results of this study that you did.
Where did you find all your quotes? Where did you get all these great lines?
We just pick them up and
we just create them. We say things. It's like I'll be talking to Vicky and I'll say, "Oh, da da da," and she'll say, "Oh, I'm going to use that quote," and she just writes it down. They just appear.
If you hear something good, something humorous, or a good quote anywhere, you write it down. And I've made the point of doing that all my life. So napkins from hotel dinners covered in lines of things I've heard people say that were really interesting or riveting or made a point.
But you create a lot your own.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
You just say things like, I like that.
Yeah, but you say serious things to me and I come back with a line. Oh, that's good one, write it down. And the thing about humour for us too is that, but the seminars that I run, the meetings, they're all very humorous. I don't tell jokes, but they're humorous. But the humour is used to demonstrate the point. And so because people will always remember the humour because it pumps endorphins into you when you laugh, which triggers what the point was. If you're serious all the time, very few of us can remember what our school teachers had to say. Comedians you've heard, and you can remember most of those lines.
So I've been looking at some of the seminars on Facebook, some of the Russian ones. Gee, they're big league. Gee, there's a lot of people. God, they're huge, Princess Anne. They're just fantastic. You're going to miss them, right?
Well, missing them now. I mean, last year we did the biggest seminar ever in Russia. 44,000 people turned up for this, and we had to do it over 2 days because it was at the Olympic Stadium in Moscow and only holds 28,000 people. And but getting audiences of 5, 10, 15, 20, 30,000 in places like Russia is not unusual because they've got the population of 300 million Russian-speaking people. And we do miss it. I mean, online, some of these online seminars you can do will have large audiences, but it's not exactly the same as being live. When you're live, and people love going to a live meeting, so the live meeting, live speaker trainer will come back because people love to be in that environment where they can network with others, and it's a big social thing as well for people. So yeah, we do kind of miss it a lot, but we're doing more together like this, whereas in the past I'd be doing maybe 70% I would do solo and 30% we do together, and Barbara maybe 10% on her own.
You guys are just, obviously your body language is so perfect and so beautiful. I don't know how long you've been together. Allan, what do you love about Barb, this gorgeous creature by your side?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? What do I love about her? I decided that I was going to spend my life living with a tall, thin, athletic, blue-eyed blonde. That was my criteria, my physical criteria. And someone, often you'll hear, but what about love? I said, well, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to fall in love with with a person who looks like that, because unless you specify what the perfect person in your life physically looks like, you won't be able to identify them. So by specifying physically how they look, when you go to the supermarket, if there's one there, you'll see them. They'll jump out at you. And that was the first thing. And secondly, she had to fulfill 5 other criteria for me. Criteria is your long-term personal values. And most people don't do that at all. They just fall in love physically. The first 8 to 9 months of new relationship, new love is driven by hormones, which blocks out the front lobes that allow you to see what's wrong with that person. And that first, we call it the bonkorama, that first 8 to 9 months.
You write that on a napkin. Hang on, bonkorama.
The bonkorama, yeah. Most people, it's funny, most people have never heard that word, but they know exactly what it means. So I decided what she'd look like and what she'd be like, and she turned up. She actually turned up. She turned up a seminar. I've been stealing all my material and training it to people. So she came in to steal some more, and told me she was using all these videos. And I said, "What's the name of your company?" She told me. I said, "I don't remember that company buying a video from me." She said, "No, they're copied, pirated ones. A friend of mine lent them to me." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I thought I'll put her out of business, and I did. She's got unlimited drive. She drives me. I mean, I've got a lot of good things in terms of being creative, but she drives me. She drives me into places that I may not normally go into, and takes 50%, but I actually avoid 50% or 90%. So I love that. I love the way she looks. When I wake up in the morning, I say to myself, "This is a good deal," because this is what I decided a long time ago. Well, I wanted to wake up and look at this person, and so she fits that spec. And she's a great mum.
What about him? What do you love about Allan?
Well, the first time I met him,
I'll write some notes.
I met him, I was going to, as I said, pinch material, and also because I'd seen him on video.
Don't say it like that. You're researching.
I'd seen him on tape, and I was teaching unemployed kids how to get their lives together and how to get a job. So I would say, "I'm going to teach you about body language, but I want to put this guy on. I want you to listen to him because he's funny and he explains things in amazing ways, and then we can actually practice what I've taught you and what he's taught you." So when I saw him on video, I thought, I wonder if this man is real, because most people on stage are different to what they're off stage. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go and meet him.
What do you love about me?
When I met him, he was everything that he's on a video. He is funny, he's generous, he's kind, he loves his family, he puts them first, he puts me first.
I'm going for a big night tonight.
He's real. He's the real deal. And, no one puts me first in their life like Allan does. I mean, that's his greatest gift. He just loves and adores me, but he's kind, generous, loving.
Great lover.
Oh, and great lover.
Great lover, yeah.
Let 2 minutes, yeah.
Is there ever a power struggle at work?
No,
never.
No. And it's funny because people think that, and I've had people say, "I want to become the Allan and Barbara Pease of the world." And
we've got clear guidelines in business.
And they say, I'm finding that he's getting more attention than me. And I go, I've never wanted that. I love being the person driving it from behind. And it's really, Allan is the one that pushes me forward. So I'm happy to be behind there, underneath the water, doing the work, and putting Allan out front because he's funny and he puts the material across really well so people can learn, and I can do everything else. So all my life, since I've been with him, he would get me on TV shows and he'd say, "Oh, there's only 2 million people." And I was like, "Oh, 2 million people." And so he's been the one that's constantly saying,
I sent her to Japan. She said, "Oh, a bit nervous about the Japanese. There's only 33 million people watching. And it's in a don't worry about it."
So we've never had a power struggle because I've never wanted to be the front person.
We have clear guidelines in business. If you're going to work together as a couple, it's not easy to do because we're together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week mostly. And you have clear divisions of power as to what a person's going to do. So Barb runs her part of the business, and I know what it is, and I don't step over the line and interfere unless I think it's something critical that she needs to know about, which is not very often. And I do my part of the business, and she doesn't step onto that unless she reckons I've treaded over a line. Like I'm not allowed to tell ball jokes anymore. But
we've never had a power struggle because
no, not in business.
Allan loves
clear lines of delineation on that. Personal lives, yeah, plenty of those, but business, no.
That's all from Allan and Barbara today, but don't worry, our Zoom conversation with each other went for longer. And next week, stay tuned to hear some of the incredible celebrity stories that they have to share during their time of worldwide seminars. In this environment, take care, stay well, happy trading. We'll see you next week.
The Trading Game Mentor Program is a 6-month repeat for free course. You'll become a superb trader across every time frame, with every instrument. Chris Tate and I give you our personal secrets and tricks so that you can develop the fabulous lifestyle where you call the shots. If you want to get the results, the lifetime support, and a warm, caring trading community, then you need to register for priority notification. Go to tradinggame.com.au/priority. We're getting ready to release a whole batch of free trading resources, and you'll get advanced notice about when we're running our very next mentor program so that you can be number one on the list. That website again, tradinggame.com.au/priority.
As always, if you like this show, please be sure to tell a friend. This is super important because word of mouth is the most powerful way that people can get in touch with us. You can also subscribe on Apple Podcast and make sure you give us a big fat 5-star review because it helps people find us. You'll also notice that Talking Trading doesn't use sponsors and barely advertisers. This is because Chris Tate and Louise Bedford fund this show from tradinggame.com.au. If you'd like to get Louise's 5-part free e-course, register at tradinggame.com.au. So until next week, happy trading. The views represented on Talking Trading are general in nature and do not take into account your objectives, financial situation or needs. Before acting on any of the information, consider its appropriateness in regards to your own situation.